Hey folks, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Art of Prophecy by Wesley. This is the first book in the War Arts saga. Thank you so much to the publishers and Black Crow PR for sending me a copy so I could get a review for this out for the book tour. This is a new, I would say, adult fantasy focused on Chinese legend and martial arts. And it was super epic. It was so like chef's kiss. It was perfection in a novel. So let's tell you what it's about. So I have the press release information here. So as I hold it up, I shall read you what it says. Book 1 in a unique new fantasy series inspired by Chinese culture, history and mythology with martial arts and magic, about what happens when a prophesized hero is not the chosen one after all, but has to work with a band of unlikely allies to save the kingdom anyway. So many stories begin the same way, with a prophecy, a chosen one, and the inevitable quest to slay a villain, save the kingdom and fulfill a grand destiny. But this is not that kind of story. It does begin with a prophecy. A child will rise to defeat the eternal Khan, a cruel immortal god king, and save the kingdom. And that prophecy did anoint a hero, Jian, raised since birth in luxury and splendour and celebrated before he has won a single battle. But that's when the story hits its first twist. The prophecy is wrong. What follows is a story more wondrous than any prophecy could foresee, and with many unexpected heroes. Taishi, an older woman who's the greatest grandmaster of magical master arts in the kingdom, but who thought her adventuring days were all behind her. Sali, a straight-laced warrior who learns the rules no longer apply when the leader to whom she pledged her life is gone. And Kasami, a chaotic assassin who takes a little too much pleasure in the kill. And Jian himself, who has to find a way to become what he no longer believes he can be, a hero after all. This was phenomenal. I've got quite a detailed review. I don't know if I'm gonna express everything because it's just I get so tongue-tied when I'm so excited, so in case I don't end up expressing all my feelings, I do always have the link to my Goodreads and Storygraph in the description. So from all the praise I've already given this without actually reviewing it, you might have guessed that I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely ate this up. I loved it. I did a bit of blended reading with this one. I also had access to the digital copy, so I was mainly taking that one to work with me, just because this is quite a bulkier read. It's quite a heavy one in my backpack, so I'd mainly stick to the physical when I was at home and then catch up and chase where I was at digitally when I was commuting anywhere, particularly on my way to work and home. Anyway, I knew this was going to be straight up my street as soon as I read the synopsis, being about this prophesized hero that isn't the hero after all. I thought that was such a cool spin on things, and straight away it turned the whole genre on its head, like the whole kind of fantasy quest genre on its head. I also loved that it had this kind of gentle poke fun at traditional Chinese martial arts film, I would say. I've only seen a couple of the genre, thinking films that had Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, that sort of thing, and in the author's note you do get a little bit of see where the inspiration of this kind of story came from. So I love that it was comforted in that way, nostalgic in that way, but poking fun with more of the eccentric stereotypes, shall we say, really being displayed. I could visually see the battle scenes, them jumping up and doing all these epic moves, and the commentary around that. It was humorous but also super captivating, super heartwarming, and just an amazing display of character and plot development. This was broken up into 3 acts, and I sort of have a mini review for each of those. So with Act 1, I loved how we had this introduction to sort of our main body of characters. It really focused on Jian, the young hero who finds out very early on that the prophecy is broken. He's not special after all, and he's kind of coming to grips with that. It is an interesting character study because Jian is so spoiled. He's pretty much a brat. He hasn't done anything to deserve the luxury that he's living. So although I loved how he was written to be so self-centered, conceited, he was so frustrating to be reading about. Do you know what I mean? But it was done so well. This made it super exciting when Taishi came in to tutor him early on in the story, because she was such a no-nonsense kind of person. She had that authority, but in such a witty way. She didn't take herself seriously, but she knew that she was the shit. Do you know what I mean? She just had that air of respect me because I know what I'm doing, and if you want me to train you to be as elite as I am, then you're gonna have to, you know, get over your self-absorbed obsession with yourself that you've really done nothing to deserve, you know, and learn from scratch, because what you've been taught thus far is utter nonsense. So I just loved the clash of those two personalities together, and that really is what soared the most in the first act. You would have thought we would have met most of the characters, you know, most of our main characters in the first act, but we didn't. We actually met Kasami in the second act, which I was actually racking my brain crazily thinking, have I misread something? Have I come across her under like a secret name or something like that? But no, you don't meet her until the second act, and oh my gosh, she is a force to be reckoned with. She gave me, oh, what's her name? Is it Azula? Fire Nation vibes, the legend of the airbender Avatar Aang. She gave me Azula vibes, and oh my god, it was that chaotic bad, that chaotic evil, just so perfect. But then she was like also really flirty, but it was scary because it was like, I don't know if you're joking or not, but I'm scared, you know, but also kind of attracted. Like it really frightened me how she'd switch into this flirty mode whilst trying to kill her opponent, do you know what I mean? Like there's a particular character in here that she does that a lot with, and I was baffled, but in the best way. I also really loved enjoying the war school aspect in this part. I don't want to go into too much depth of, you know, who's there, why, how they came to be, about that, especially as we are talking about Act 2 now, because I don't want to spoil anything. But we had a lot of time in this war school, and I thought that was so cool because it gave time for our characters to really hone into this humble mindset and actually strengthen sense of self, skill, you know, compassion for others, and just be exposed to a wider environment they might not have had beforehand. You can probably guess who I'm talking about, but yeah, I really loved the war arts school, specifically in Act 2. We also meet Sally. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correct or not, but it doesn't sound right if I say Sally, because it's S-A-L-I, so I'm saying Sally, I don't know, who is, you know, a member of the opposing team, so to speak. She is part of the clan that has the Eternal Khan, who are the enemies to the Tiandi people and like the wider kingdom. So it was really interesting to get her input and just kind of see the opposite and how they viewed the war and how they viewed what this fighting was all for and what it was about. So I really enjoyed seeing more of her and kind of, you know, guessing where the threads of narration would blend and start to bleed into each other, where these characters potentially are going to meet and what's going to be the fallout from that. Then of course we have Act 3, and I thought this was bloody fantastic. Obviously we have a lot of tense moments. We have ultimately we're aiming for the final boss, aren't we? We're aiming for this big fight. There are quite a lot of mini battles, and they all add towards the building tension of this final like big boss finale. So yeah, I think the build up was written really, really well. I was engrossed in each and every decision that was made, each battle, each like sorrowful or wholesome moment. I just felt at this point things were hanging by a thread. I didn't know if anyone was going to die. I didn't know who they would be. Like, it really was so out there, anything could happen. And so the way it was written, it brought that tension perfectly to, you know, the conclusion of the story and that big drop, and oh my god, this is the outcome. Although I did read this digitally as well as physically, I can only imagine how amazing this would sound on audio, like with a full cast. Even just reading this physically, I could vividly see the scenes playing out, and I could hear the voices and the action, and I could hear the battles, the weapons, you know, the fists and the flesh. I could hear it. So just imagining how enhanced that could be through an audio experience, or even like an adaptation like TV, film. Oh my god, I feel like there's so much scope for this world that Wesley Chu has created, formulated, invested so much time into, and you can see that. But yeah, I absolutely adored this. By the end, I can safely say that my tear ducts were prickling and I just didn't want it to end. I was so sad to leave these characters behind. I was devastated to leave this world behind. I felt like I didn't even write the thing, and I felt like I'd poured my blood, tears, sweat, soul into it, you know. It took every emotion out of me that I didn't even know were possible to feel through reading. Like, I know reading can be such an amazing, immersive experience, but this just really took me far out, you know. What can I say? An amazing read. Like, knowing that there's a saga, it brings me hope that relatively soon there will be new releases. I'm hopeful for next year. I don't know. I haven't seen anything or, you know, particularly looked for anything specific, but it was a mind-blowing read. As I said at the beginning, a perfect fantasy, a perfect book in itself, in so many ways. I absolutely adored this one, and if you have any takeaway from this video, please let it be that. I want you guys to adore this. I want to know if you have any plans of picking this up, or if you've already picked it up yourself, and if so, what did you think of it? Did you love it as much as me, or did you, dare I say it, heaven forbid, hate it? I can't see how it could be hated, but then again, sometimes, you know, you could be so consumed with a novel you can't see things that other people might pick out and not vibe with, so I get that. I want to hear your varied opinions. But yeah, for me personally, a perfect novel. I absolutely adored it, and I can't wait for more in this world. Anyway, that wraps up this video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall catch you in the next one soon. Bye.